If an adrenaline rush was needed, it was found last week as two fierce competitors battled for 25 laps, but only one could come away with the victory, and that was Travis Everett. Welcome in, sim racing fans. Evolution Racing Network's coverage of the Adrenaline Rush Racing League. Alongside Kevin Ruff, I'm Steve Kerpel, and tonight we are here in the Sin City Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kevin, what are we in store for tonight as these truck drivers try to go all in and walk away with a victory?
It's time to roll the dice. See who's got the best truck out here tonight, who's going to dominate. Whoever's going to win tonight, they're going to roll snake eyes. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we see Vegas as sometimes a fuel strategy track, and sometimes you see it as tires, and how do the cautions line up? I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see how this thing plays out. But, I mean, last week we seen Travis Everett, GT Irizarry, 25 laps, door to door, and on the final lap, it was just Travis who was actually honestly was able to keep it out of the wall. JT, I think, figured he had to go for it, was unsuccessful, put the truck into the wall. Travis Everett gets the win. If you're a driver, Kevin, what do you got to do here tonight besides the normal stuff, the tires and the fuel? What do you got to do to get a win here?
Man, you just got to be calm. You just got to be calm and don't overwork the truck, It's not you win the first lap, It's a long run. This league is really good about not having cautions. So really the tire strategy is going to play out huge. I don't know if there'll be a fuel strategy tonight. It's definitely going to be 3 stops for sure. It may, if a caution comes out, turn into a fuel run. But I just think having your composure, just staying calm and relaxed, and just putting down the same lap every single time. That way you're consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a peek here what these guys are in store for tonight. 70 degrees on the air temp. This track is 1.5 miles. That's going to translate to about 100-degree track temp. Not super hot, but hot enough to where they're not going to have the full grip they normally would if it was, say, 70, 80 degrees. We got a light wind, 4 miles an hour, clear skies, afternoon race conditions. So these guys should have a pretty good chance of getting around this track and not really losing too much grip that you would normally see if it was, say, 120-degree track temp. Tonight, looks like we're going to have 10 guys take the field tonight. And I'll tell you guys, if you guys are just tuning in, if this is the first time watching this series, small field, but packed with action. They don't draw a lot of cautions, but I'll tell you what, these guys are some of the best racers around. If you got a favorite driver out in the field and you're tuned in to YouTube or Facebook, give us a shout. Let's chat it up. Who's your favorite driver? Give them a little support out there, and we'll talk later when we decide to start throwing out who we think's going to win this thing. I don't know, Kevin. That 29's in the field tonight, and I hate to bet against him.
Yeah, he's got a rocket ship every track that he goes to, but I'm just telling you, man, something about Travis Everett. He's got a lot of momentum, especially from last week, and just watching him lap after lap after lap, him and GT just put it right next to each other without taking each other out. I see a really good shot for Travis Everett to get 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, coming off a win, you got the momentum swinging your way. A guy who I don't know if I want to double my pick just yet, but the one truck of Michael Sheffield has been pretty good here. So keep an eye on him, and we'll see who comes out victorious tonight.
Yeah, Sheffield is a great driver, and we saw it last week when we called it. I think if him and Curtis Preston had 3 more laps, I think it would have been 4 drivers that would have had a chance to win that race. I mean, they were just staying cool, calm, and collected. They were letting GT and Travis, sit there and duke it out, and they were getting momentum, and they were catching up fast. I think if there was another 3 laps, I think one of them may have been in victory lane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to watch Trevor Massetti here as he takes his qualifying lap. And Trevor is he was fast in practice, Kevin. He had the fastest time in practice, so I'm kind of curious to see what he could translate from practice to qualifying, and then to the race as well.
Yeah, and as you see, he's building up a bunch of speed on that outside line. He's going to jump down low now on that line. Just really curious to see what kind of lap time he's going to put down. But definitely, Trevor knows how to put down a burner lap for sure. The kid from Cali is definitely fast when it comes to qualifying.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And we will see what he does as he comes out of turn number 4. And Trevor will cross the line.
Good burner lap for qualifying for sure.
That was impressive for sure, and that's the Cali kid, Trevor Massetti. All right, folks, we're having a small technical difficulty. We're going to take a 2-second commercial break. We'll be right back.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Sorry, folks, we are back. And Richard Gonzalez on the pole with a 31.198, matched by Curtis Preston. And Kevin, I don't know about you, man, but that's a hot lap right there.
That is a super fast lap, and I was actually kind of screaming into the mic when we went on our little technical difficulty commercial break, and Steve was sitting there laughing at me. But, we said it in the practice before we got on air that Richard Gonzalez was putting down some pretty good laps during the practice. And I think it just goes to show right there, Steve, that he's definitely put in some time and effort. I mean, he put down a burner for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a track where, I mean, you could run good laps here, but if you want to run in the the low 31s, like 31.1s, like we see those two guys, you gotta practice. You gotta hit your marks consistently every time, and it's just something that takes a little bit of work, and you go out, you practice, you do the best you can, and hopefully you could you come out with with the pole position.
Yeah. The one thing, though, that I think a lot of people don't know about on this track, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are completely different from one another. You can get a huge run in the middle groove coming out of 2, but on 3 and 4, you got to be in the low line.
Absolutely. And we will grid them up here for you guys, and this is how they're going to take the green flag tonight, starting on the pole. Richard Gonzalez in the 6 truck. On his outside will be the 29 of Curtis Preston. Row number 2, Chad Biesinger in the 23, followed by the 59, last week's winner, Travis Everett. Row number 3, Cali Kid, Trevor Massetti in the 3 truck, followed by Craig A. Burns in the 2. Kevin, take us the rest of the way, buddy.
Starting 7th place, we've got Mr. Jeff Carson himself. 8th place, we've got Josh Maxwell. 9th, we've got Mr. Sheffield himself. And 10th, jumping in last second, maybe, GT Irizarry. And 11th is Matt Opbrook.
Wow. We are in for maybe a little bit of a head scratcher there, folks. But let's go ahead and let's talk to our pole sitter right quick. Hey, Richard, Stephen Cavan up in the ERM booth. You got a copy?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Richard. Hot lap out of the gates on the pole for tonight's race. What are you going to do tonight to put that 6 Oreo truck down here in Victory Lane?
Oh, stay out of trouble and keep her straight. This thing's loose.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a hot track tonight. Not too bad. We've seen maybe GT Irizarry jumping in here at the last minute. We thought he might not grid. How do you battle that 4 off without burning your tires up too much?
Be honest with you, that's a hard battle there. It's harder to hold him off and Curtis than it is to race the track. Those guys are in their own division.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Richard. Well, good luck to you tonight, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you after the race.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Enjoy the show, guys, and we'll catch you later.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. That was your pole sitter, the 6 of Richard Gonzalez. And you know what? I'm not sure, Kevin, if GT is out here on the track, but it is showing him logged in, and he might be getting out there tonight. We're gonna have to wait and see.
I'd love to see him get out here and run. Maybe he gets a little bit of a delay on the start, and maybe a caution comes out early in the race, and he gets a lap back. But man, I'm just so excited for Gonzalez to be able to start on the pole. Guys like that are more quiet in the league. That it's sometimes they don't get recognized for the time and effort they put into this league. And he gets on the pole, and I can just tell from the sound of his voice he was so excited. It felt like he won a race. So it's just so cool being able to see somebody like him that's got the talent. Just doesn't get to showcase it as much, get to actually start on the pole.
Absolutely, guys. And we kind of didn't get into the race info yet, but we're going to go for 133 laps. These guys will have 3 extra sets of tires, and they will be on a full tank of fuel. Richard Gonzalez will take them down to the green flags. Chevy Silverado pace truck is out. Let's go to work. Adrenaline Rush is green here in Las Vegas.
And it does look like GT Irizarry is going to start from the pits, so he should not be a lap down, but it's going to take him a minute to get up with the field if he can do something.
Absolutely, folks. You heard it here first. GT Irizarry is out on the track, and he will do his best right now just to catch the field. If we were to see an early caution, he'd be the benefit, as Richard Gonzalez, way loose coming out of turn 4, is able to keep it straight, and that's going to give the race lead to Curtis Preston. And man, Richard said during that the pole interview that truck was loose, and man, was he real wicked loose coming out of turn 4 there.
Great save, though. Great save. I mean, you get a little nervous right there, and yeah, maybe he's a little upset right now, but at least he's still in the race and he's still got a clean truck. Yeah,
he did one heck of a job of saving that thing. As that could have really snapped crazy loose on him, and he could have, and being the lead truck, guy coming out of turn 4, you're not ready for him to spin. He could have collected a lot of guys with him, so excellent job on his part.
Yeah, and look who we got out to the lead. The Black Beauty, the Jim Beam, 29 of Curtis Preston.
And there he is, folks. He's going to be tough tonight. I would say so. I do like the 2 Craig A. Burns tonight here at Vegas. If he could keep the truck clean, I think he's got a good truck. I think he's got a good mindset for tonight. Talking to him pre-race, and he said, he just wanted to go out, take some laps off, kind of get a feel for the track and what the conditions are going to be like. But keep an eye on that 2 truck as we get later here during the run.
Yeah, he's got a big run going down the backstretch. I don't think he's going to stick his nose down there yet, but you can just see, man, he's getting a huge run right now. while sitting behind Chad right now. And right behind them, the Cali kid sitting there in the 3 truck. I think he's just kind of watching them. He's just kind of playing around with the truck right now. Trevor is definitely one of the options that I would say does the most adjustments on his truck if he knows that he's not happy with it. I've seen some drivers where they just run the truck the way it is, tight or loose, and whatever result they get, they get. But Trevor's one of those, man. He likes to tweak it. If it's a little tight going in the corner, he's going to do a track bar adjustment. He's going to do a couple things like that. So I see him probably doing a couple of tweaks on first pit stop.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Trevor knows how he likes to drive the truck. If it feels off, he's gonna make an adjustment to it, and I think that's what makes him a good racer. You don't see that a lot out of a lot of guys. They'll try to adjust to drive the truck to make it feel better, but honestly, at the end of the day, if you got a bad truck, you got a bad truck, and it's just going to be hard to win like that. But Trevor does an excellent job of getting out there, making the adjustments he needs to make, and that's why he's been successful in many different leagues.
We just saw Travis Everett makes a pass on Josh Maxwell for 6th place. Travis is probably doing a Sheffield move in tonight's race, and what I mean by that is don't over push the truck. Just sit back, let it do its thing, and save up for the long run.
Yeah, and speaking of Mr. Sheffield, back here in the 7th, now 8th position, up 1 spot for where he qualified. But yeah, you're right. The let's dub it the Sheffield move, where you kind of fall to the back and play the strategy. A long race, 133 laps, like we mentioned tonight. And we're going to see if the thing stays green like we all hope and want it to. We're looking at 3 green flag stops, no matter how you slice and dice this thing. So to go out and try to burn your tires up just to lead a first couple laps is it's not everybody's forte, I guess you want to say. But as we look here at the 2, Craig Burns, and I mentioned it just a couple minutes ago, up 4 spots from the start of the race, he finds himself in 2nd.
And he is slowly trickling down Curtis Preston. I don't know if Curtis Preston is just sitting back a little bit, but Craig Burns definitely he's got a good Ford pickup for tonight, and it's showing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Kevin is just like most of the mile and a halfs on the circuit, where the draft is big here. You could get hooked up with that draft, and it's just going to suck you right into the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I just said. The turns are completely different from one another. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. It just showed right there a while ago. I'm sitting here watching the Cali kid. He gets a run right there on the middle line of Richard Gonzalez on the bottom line, and man, it was just like Richard Gonzalez was just sitting there standing still as the Cali kid got a huge run down the backstretch coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, and this is a track where it's multiple grooves. You can run the high line. You probably want to run the higher line once you get a little bit of heat in them tires. But you could still make some moves down on the bottom, as you see the 6 of Richard Gonzalez, our pole sitter, fighting back after that little unfortunate was able to save the truck after getting loose. But he's fighting his way back, holding on still to a top 5, and he's making it work.
And the one guy that we haven't even pointed out yet that's sitting there in 3rd place real quiet, the Mark Martin of the league, Mr. Chad Biesinger himself, that beautiful 23 truck right there, Biesinger Racing. That is a standout guy right there. That guy every single week, don't matter what league you're in, but that guy just calm, cool, collected. You never really hear anything from him, but he's always in the top 5.
I'll tell you what, Chad's one of those guys where he is so disciplined in how he drives the truck around this track that I could tell you folks that Chad's day is coming, and it's coming quick. I feel like he is a guy, especially in this race. Running here in 3rd, having a good race, qualified good. I think he's a guy you might want to watch out for. I don't know if it's his race tonight, but I'll tell you what, his time is coming, and when it does, I think everybody on this Adrenaline Rush roster will be down in victory lane to give him a high five, because he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody loves this guy in any league that he runs in. Everybody loves running with this guy because he's just a good racer, man. I enjoy racing him on our Sunday night leagues and our Tuesday night leagues. We've got part of the Evolution Racing Network. Um, it's always fun racing with him and everybody in this league. I've ran with every single person in here, and I can tell you right now, they are all a blast to drive with because they all know how to be respectful on the track. And I mean, it showed last week. GT Irizarry and Travis Everett. Banging doors side by side, not taking each other out, but racing each other to the max. Potential that they know they can.
Right, exactly. And I mean that's something huge as we we take a look. There he is, the one of Michael Sheffield on the move, up 4 spots, and he's picking them off left and right. And I think he's got the truck where he wants it to be, and I think he told those guys in the back, I'm coming up through the field now, boys. Watch out.
The truck is coming to life. This is usually how he does it. He sits back, lets everyone else burn up their tires, and he just slowly creeps through the field. That's why he's always so good at long runs. I was talking to him last night, and he told me, he said, the trucks are my forte, and the best thing I can do is a long run. He said, if we're on a 30-lap run, he said, goodbye, everybody, because I'm going to come up there, and I'm going to beat them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to take the Facebook real quick. Marianne Sheffield, thanks for tuning in. She's rooting for Michael Sheffield. So hopefully, Marianne, hopefully we get to talk to that one truck after the race tonight. He's looking pretty good so far, up 4 spots. Another guy, Kevin, I want to talk about is the 9 of Jeff Carson. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Chad in 23. Awesome guy to be around, first off. He's one of the nicest guys you meet, and he just goes out there and he likes to have fun. He's got a competitive nature, obviously, but if he wrecks out on lap 1 and you go and talk to him and he's just all cool, calm, never gets riled up, loves to go out there, have a good time. I think you're going to see that 9 truck, be a factor. Maybe not in this race, like I said, but one of the races, I think you're going to see that 9 truck down in victory lane this year.
He knows when it matters and when it counts because he's got a great 2021 sim racing resume right now, particularly in Evolution Racing Network. You take the ARRL series that runs on Tuesday nights. He won the All-Star race there and won it, deservingly. He dominated. And then a couple weeks ago, one of our biggest Premier Leagues that we operate, Ryan Zell and his league over there in RSR, he won that, So he's a great driver, and I love racing with Jeff. I just love bullcrapping with him, whether we're on the racetrack or we're playing poker, like we do some nights, all of us do. But that is a good driver right there, and I respect the hell out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's one of those guys that will lend a hand if you need it, and he's a guy you just like racing around. He'll give you the space. So he'll race you hard when it's time to race hard, but for the most part, very respectable out on the track. As we see the California kid with a small little connection issue there. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue for him throughout the race. But let's head back up to the front here and just take a look. We've got Curtis Preston, Craig Burns, and Trevor Massetti are your top 3. Curtis able to put about a 1-second gap here right now on the 2 Craig Burns, but like we mentioned, and we'll continue to mention, long race. We're only 21 laps into this thing, but I think if you're the 2 of Craig Burns and the 3 of Massetti, you probably should start thinking about what you need to do on that green flag pit stop, because that's how you're going to catch that 29.
Yeah. Curtis has got a good truck, but I think Craig's in the best spot right now because he's just kind of watching Curtis run his line and seeing what he does. And, Curtis really isn't pulling away. Craig's got him in a area, where I don't think Craig is pushing the truck as hard as he needs to right now. And it's going to show right now. It's going to get interesting towards the end of the race. I just think right now Craig is experimenting.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. We're looking at probably about a 43 to 47 lap window, if my math is right. So, I mean, we're halfway through the first part of the first fuel run here, and I agree with you, Kevin. I think I think Craig's just trying to feel everything out, testing what works, testing what doesn't work. Obviously knows that Curtis has a 1 second lead on him, but probably not too concerned this early in the race.
No, not at all. And if I'm Craig, when we do that first pit stop, that's where maybe take the gamble, see what happens. If it's a green flag pit stop, take the gamble and maybe pit a lap before him, try to gain some of that time back.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we have a moment, let's go down through your field and kind of introduce these guys. If you've never tuned in before, here's your leader, Curtis Preston, out of Georgetown, Kentucky, and that Jim Beam 29. I know Kevin loves that paint. That's a good paint, and already already found his way into victory lane this year with it. So we'll looking good so far tonight, and we'll see if he can keep it up. We head on back to our second place runner right now, and Jack Links Menards, number 2, Craig Burns out of Ortonville, Michigan, personal friend. And I'll tell you what, he's one of the hardest competitors out there. That guy would, I swear, he'd wreck me for a win. And we're teammates in many other leagues. And he's a guy you want around. He's a good guy, heck of a good racer, loves to win. And we'll see what he could do as he's running currently in second right now. And back on fourth here to the Cali Kid himself, Trevor Massetti, in that TM Media number 3 Chevy Silverado. A force, I think that we're going to start seeing his name called more. He's still sort of settling into everything here. Has been up there, is finishing consistent, hasn't gotten a win yet. But I think his name will be called here, just like this next guy right here. We talked about him earlier, Chad Biesinger. And he runs that 23 Biesinger Sim Racing machine. It's such a nice paint, Kevin. I know that's a Sheffield Graphics paint all the way, and that is a nice looking paint.
Yeah, a lot of time put in that paint scheme. That is a very nice paint scheme. I've always enjoyed watching him run that paint scheme on all of his, the Cup cars, the trucks, and his son Brennan in the Medieval Racing League that we ran. We ran a race last night, but sometimes it's hard to tell which one is which because they run the exact same paint scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll move on back to the one of Michael Sheffield and that Sheffield Graphics inspired paint. That is, well, I'll tell you what, that thing's on fire, and I think the one is going to be a force here tonight. I think the fire on that truck's gonna translate over to a fire out on the track. We'll see. We're still a little early in the race, but we shall see. And we'll head back to the 9 of Jeff Carson. Spoke about him a minute ago as he just scrapes the wall coming out of turn number 2, able to keep it straight. Whew, that was close. Glendale, Arizona. And, Jeff, hopefully, we'll see as he comes around the turn here. We might be able to get a quick look. Definitely some scrape the right side up. Doesn't look like he's got too much fender damage, but this is a track where that could definitely hurt you. And back to our pole sitter here in the 6 Oreo truck is Richard Gonzalez. Currently having a little bit of trouble. Falling back to 7th after that lap 1 little incident he had, but hanging in there tough. Nicest guy around, lives in the Northeast, so he's a fighter for sure up there, New England Patriots country, and we'll see if he could hang around to be here at the end. Take a look on back. Cole Maxwell in that number 69 truck, and it's Clemson inspired paint. It's nice and bright. You could see him coming a mile away. That's actually a really nice paint. I ain't gonna lie. I actually do like that. Big Clemson fan down there, South Carolina boy, and Cole having himself a pretty good race, sitting currently in 8th. We haven't talked about him, Kevin, since the drop of the green flag, but there it is. The Ford GT Irizarry in that Bush paint, that Ford F-150. He's he's trying his best to make a little charge. Still about, he's still got a little bit of work to do to get back up to the field. He's about 16 seconds or so off the lead, so about a half a lap. He's working though. He's out there doing his thing. Was a late entry, and hopefully he could do his thing and get back up there. And that will be your field as we run through, and we'll take a look here. Curtis Preston now open up a 2.1 second gap, and while we were going through your lineups there, we've seen a change for second place. We do now have the California kid, Trevor Massetti, jumped on up there in the second. And Kevin, I think if you're the 2 and the 3, you kind of have to work together now because Curtis Preston is now stretching this out to a pretty big lead.
Yeah, definitely. You just want to be really careful. And just be smart at this point. And I think the smartest thing to do would be to work together, try to get up there. But Curtis Preston, I've said it at a race before, but I don't know what his plans are after this race, but he is headed to that Jim Beam distillery.
Yeah, he sure is. I mean, he's just driving the wheels off of that truck. And, a little bit of a story I want to talk about. Right behind Chad Biesinger here, we see the 59 Travis Everett is 2 laps down. Not really sure if he's having an issue with the truck. I know he was on pit road earlier. We'll have to keep an eye on him and see if that truck maybe gets a little better for him. The 16 Matt Uprook is showing in the lineup, but I don't believe he actually ended up gridding for the race. So Matt Uprook in the 16 truck in 11th place. He is out of the race.
Yeah, it's sad to see. I like Matt Outbrook. He's a good driver, really respected driver. But Travis Everett is definitely having some issues with his internet. I'm watching his ping and his quality right now, and it is spiking like crazy, which is not normal because Travis Everett, just like how good of a racer he is, he pretty much has perfect internet. So something's going on tonight. That is not normal at all because I've never seen him blink on the racetrack when I race with him personally. To be quite honest, it's usually Jeff Carson and Sheffield themselves, the 2 that we have internet connections with, and it seems like it's the complete opposite tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I just see him coming in and out of your screen. Right before that, we had seen the 2 truck, Craig Burns. You see that that little wall stripe on the side of his truck did make contact with the wall. It didn't seem to be too violent. Hopefully, he could hang with these guys and stay with them. But the 23 of Chad Basinger was able to grab that 3rd spot off of him. So we're going to keep an eye on Craig for the rest of the race, see if that damage hurts him at all. And this is a league, we're going to remind everybody, this is a league that does not offer fast repair. If you get damage, you can go get it repaired, but you will not get a brand new truck just with the click of a mouse like in certain leagues. So very important to remember that if you get damage, if you're involved in a wreck, the crew can work on it just similar to what they would do in real life, but that truck will not be brand new, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm actually a fan of no fast repairs because it just makes it way more realistic. Because in real life, unfortunately, I wish in real life it could happen, but you don't get a brand new car or a brand new truck, when you wreck on the racetrack in a race. Them guys over the wall, they come out with sledgehammers, sawzalls, grinders. I've seen a lot of crap during races, people repairing their hoods and stuff like that. So it just makes it more realistic, and you got to be a little more cautious.
Oh yeah, sure. And I mean, these guys are playing a simulator. So I would assume if you devote the time to do this, you'd want it the most realistic experience possible. So there you have it. 0 fast repairs. So I mean, it's definitely affecting them. As you could see, the gap that Biesinger and Everett have put on him, that damage is definitely affecting him.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too long of damage. That's the biggest thing. If you do scrape a wall, you're sitting there praying that it's less than 10 seconds of repairs. Because in case the viewers don't know, when you hit the wall and something like that, like Steve said, you can repair it, but it takes a certain amount of time. So, let's say I spin out Steve, which I'm not gonna lie, I have done that before, not in an actual race, but let's say Steve hits the wall, brushes the fender, something like that. It could range anywhere from 5 seconds all the way up to 15 minutes. It just depends on how hard he hits.
Right, absolutely, and that's just something you got that these guys are thinking about, especially when you have a little wall scrape like that, and you have to kind of make decisions on the fly. Where how bad is this going to affect me? Do I go in and get repairs done right now? Do I get them done during a green flag stop? Do I hope for caution? I mean, there's so many things that could happen that you got to know when is a good time to go in and get that stuff fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. We call it the Darlington Stripe, and that's what you hope you don't get by the end of the race.
Right, and for those who are not familiar with Darlington Stripe, basically every car that races at Darlington Raceway, you got to run so close to the wall that your car usually finds the wall more than on one occasion. We see the 29 just doing his thing, taking laps off. Gavin, we should be coming up here on a green flag pit stop any lap here now. I mean, as we Curtis is going to come out of turn 4 to take lap number 45, and we haven't really seen anybody short pit yet. But I think within the next probably 2 to 3 laps, we're going to start seeing some guys come down pit road.
Yeah, and a big shout out right now to Trevor Massetti. Trevor Massetti, I don't know what's going on, but he is gaining momentum. He is shaved off about 7/10 of a second on Curtis Preston, and this is going to help him out a ton when it comes to pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. As you could see, I mean, here's the gap right here. That's the gap from first to second. He has closed that thing down, and he keeps on going. He just keeps on closing in the gap.
Yeah, he's on a mission right now. If I'm Trevor, you're in the pit window. It's a never mind, as Curtis Preston just announced on the radio that he's going to pit. But I was going to say you short pit right before him. But now that Curtis Preston's pitting, if I'm Trevor Massetti, I pit now.
Yeah, I think you have to, and that's the plan. That is the plan. They lock the brakes down. Now this is this is where, I mean, it's just a nail in the coffin, really.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Trevor gained a bunch coming on the pit road. I think Curtis took it, not as well. And Trevor, man, definitely got some momentum coming into pit road, and hopefully he gets some momentum coming off pit road.
As we see, there'll be 1-2 coming off of pit road, and I don't know if you guys were able to take notice there. The one of Michael Sheffield having all sorts of trouble on pit road, slid the box. I mean, he probably took him 20 seconds to get in his pit box, and that's just one of those things you hate to see. It just happens, These tires are hot, they're slippery. You try to get them locked down. As we see the 23 and the 59, Chad Biesinger, Travis Everett, they're going to come down pit road for their stops now. That's just one of those things where it happens. It's unfortunate. You hate to see it, but it is part of the game.
And while you are watching the pit road battles, I am sitting here watching Trevor Massetti and Curtis Preston going down the backstretch, and I'm just telling you right now, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys are, they're going to retake the lead when this whole thing cycles out with the 23 and the 69 there on pit road. So Curtis Preston will regain the lead, and Trevor Massetti he's right on his tail now, and we've seen towards the end of that first run, the 3 just gaining on him. So I think now Trevor knows what he wants to do with the truck after, putting 49 laps in already, that he's going to probably drive it a little harder this run, I got a feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know though, because you got one more pit stop, and he gained a lot of momentum at the end of that run. So I don't know if I push too hard unless you make an adjustment and you get really comfortable with it. I would almost run the exact same strategy that he did last time, because it almost worked out to perfection.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right there, Kevin. I mean, it did work out. He was able to, really close the gap there at the end. I mean, I think it's too early to really push the truck. Like we said, we're going to be looking at another round of pit stops and then probably one more after that. So it's it's early. I think Trevor knows what he wants to do. He wants to stay glued to that 29, but if the 29 starts pulling away, I don't think if you're that 3 truck, you're going to drive it any harder.
Yeah, unless you made the adjustments correctly, that you're going to be able to push it hard up there with the 29 and, not lose any momentum later in the run. Yeah, just sit back, do your thing like the last run, because that worked out perfect for you. Now, stage three, or not stage three, but, after the second pit stop, it's a little different then.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just something you got to play around with. You got to know when to go, and right now it's not that time. I mean, there's nobody for basically days around these guys. I mean, you got the two Craig Burns. I mean, he is 8 seconds behind these fellas, so it's just a battle of you and the 29. Just kind of hang together, run your race. Honestly, if I were those two, I'd just say, hey, let's hook up. Let's keep gapping this field, and we'll go to work when there's 10 laps to go in this thing.
Yeah, and right now it looks like everyone else kind of shuffled back. We got Craig Burns about 8 seconds back. We got Jeff Carson about 11 seconds back. Hopefully Craig made some proper repairs, as needed, because I'm sure when he scraped that wall, it tightened up the truck a little bit, not to where he would like it. So, but definitely these front two right now, if I'm them, I'm just sitting back, letting the draft do its thing and pull away from this other pack of cars.
Absolutely. And while we have a moment, folks, me and Kevin are going to have us a quick water break, and we will be right back.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, folks, welcome back live, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as Curtis Preston and Trevor Massetti continue to pretty much work on the rest of this field. They have nobody. The two of Craig Burns, excuse me, running in third. 10 seconds back. Everybody else is kind of back there pretty far. So this is the race right now. Lap 57 of 133. We're still caution free, knock on wood in this thing. And, if this is your first time watching these guys, this is not uncommon. This is what these guys do. It's caution, very limited caution league, and these guys go out smaller field than, some of your other leagues. But I'll tell you what, it's packed with great action and limited caution count, and we love to see green flag stops. We just saw one here a couple of laps ago, and this is what we enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. The car count is not as big this race, but it makes it more interesting because we've got 10 great drivers out on the track right now, and we get to call it all out. I don't necessarily care about car count. I care about the quality of the field, and I think some other broadcasting networks don't notice that sometimes, and don't point it out. And I think it should be pointed out a lot more, And that's why I enjoy calling us with you, Steve, because we've got a great field of drivers here, and it's always fun calling it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, they want to win as much as the next guy do, but they do it with the way it should be done, with respect, and they don't go slamming each other, pushing each other out of the way. It's, hey, let's get side by side and let's see who can't win this thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just shows right now. I think we're going to have another ending like last week, the way it's looking right now with Trevor Massetti and Curtis, because I'm just telling you, the Cali kid has got something figured out, and he is sticking right to Curtis Preston's tail of the gate.
Boy, could you imagine, Kevin? I mean, last week we thought we seen the battle of the season with a 25 lap battle between Travis Everett and GT Arizari. I mean, we might be in store for something equally as good or even better this week. I mean, I couldn't imagine topping last week, but here we are again, two of the best competitors on the series right here, and they're looking to. Obviously, we got a lot of laps to go on this thing, but it's shaping up to be a pretty good finish if it kind of stays the way it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything close to last week, I mean, I'm already on the edge of my seat just watching these two duke it out right now. But, man, that was hands down. And, I mean, I'm a rookie in the broadcasting career, but that is hands down the best race I've ever called last week. I mean, that was just a fantastic finish.
Yeah, I'll agree with you 110%. It was not only the best race, I bet you it's one of the most funnest races I've ever watched, regardless if it's just watching a race or calling it. And I mean, I'm glad that we were a part of it, and that shows you the kind of racing that these guys do here. And it's just fun week in and week out. We don't know we know the players. We know that the 4 to 5 guys that are going to be in contention each week, but you couldn't go into a race before it started and said, you know what, the 29, he's going to win 100% guaranteed, because there's always 4 or 5 other guys out there that are going to give him a run for his money, as we could see what Trevor Massetti's doing here tonight to him.
Yeah, I mean, and not even just this league, but all of the leagues that are part of the Evolution Racing Network, that's what's so great about this network, that you, Steve, Craig Burns, Michael Sheffield, Ryan Azell, all of you guys put in the time and effort to make these leagues all competitive and fun, because it's exciting for me because I race with 90% of these drivers every week in our league. So it's fun for me because I know how they race. I know how good and how respected they are on the track. So it's just fun to sit up here in the booth and call it with you and be able to see it here from the outside perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, and likewise. I mean, we have a blast every week. This is a hobby for us. We do this because we enjoy it, and it's fun. I mean, especially this league right here. I mean, these guys put in on such an incredible show. There's nothing better than drama in a race. We all know that. And you get a late race caution, line up for a nice green-white checker. That's always fun. But these guys, I always say this, and I'll continue to say it, that I love watching green flag pit stops. I love seeing low caution counts, fuel strategy, tire strategy, all that stuff. And that's what you get with this league. And I think that's why it's so much fun to call it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you said it perfect. I mean, one of my favorite things is green flag pit stops, because there's so many different strategies out there. And you really get to see, especially being here in Vegas, who's going to roll snake eyes and who is going to leave Vegas with no money. And I'm just telling you, Steve, because we know how I play poker, I would lose with no money.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, we're in Sin City, where, are we going to see a late race gamble? I sure hope so, because that would be awesome. I don't know if the stops will line up that way, where we could have a kind of a storyline like that. But, somebody's going to go all in on this track, whether it be the 29 of Preston, the 3 of Mercedes, or any of these other guys, and there's going to be guys that fold, This track is truly like a hand of poker, where the fuel strategy, not so much this race because they're going to have to make 3 stops, but I mean, we've seen plenty of races at Vegas where guys were running out of gas coming across the start finish line, and this is going to be, I think, the gamble here in this race, Kevin, is going to be, when do you make your move? When do you make your move? When do you start pushing that truck harder than the other guy?
Well, right now it looks like Trevor Massetti is pushing it because he is trying to make that line just a groove below Curtis Preston in 1 and 2 right now work. It looks like they're running the same line in 3 and 4, but Trevor Massetti, the Cali kid, has found something, and it is working to a perfection right now.
Yeah, and, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing the 29 try to emulate what he's doing, because he knows that he's coming. He knows he's there. I don't think he's worried about it right yet, but he knows that whatever he's doing is working, and he wants to try to emulate that because he wants to hold on to this lead and, lead the rest of this thing and not have to worry about that 3 truck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As they're coming up on Cole Maxwell, hopefully that won't hold him up too much. And Cole's a respectful driver. He'll run his line and let them get around him. But it'll get really interesting if Trevor gets past him before the next pit stop. If Trevor gets past him before the next pit stop, I'm just telling you, Trevor is one of the best when it comes to making the pit stop. And I'm pretty good myself, but Trevor could easily gain a second on me, every time that he passes me right before pit road.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're about, I want to say we're about 20 laps or so away from seeing our second green flag stop here. And you make a good point. If Trevor's able to get around Curtis before this next pit stop, it's really going to make things interesting because both drivers, they executed that first pit stop to perfection. And I'd love to see, will that happen again? Will we see another perfect pit stop? Will somebody slide their box? Will we see a penalty? Will we see a caution? Because that would really throw a wrench in things right now, especially if it happened right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Caution would change up the game plan a lot. If I'm Trevor, if I'm Chad, hell, if I'm Curtis, I really don't want a caution because I'm just telling you right now, there is somebody that wants a caution. That is the man that started the race on pit road, GT Irizarry, who is sitting there actually in 6th place.
Yeah, he is. And you know what? I mean, 20 seconds off of the lead. So not fighting for the win right yet. But I mean, to start dead last, and we talked about this last week with Curtis Preston starting dead last, making his way all the way up, and finishing the race ultimately in second because GT ended up hitting the wall on the final lap. I mean, we're seeing similar results out of GT Irizarry all the way up to 6th place. He quick jumped in the race at the last minute, had to start on pit road, so he didn't even get a chance to qualify. He's making good work, and GT, he knows what he needs to do in this league. He's the only champion in this league, season 1 and season 2, so he knows what it takes to win, and he is being consistent. Get the race wins when you can, and be consistent when you can't get the race wins, and that's what we're seeing out of GT tonight.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a tougher challenge than last week for Curtis because Curtis jumped in last second on the grid. GT actually started from pit road when the green flag dropped. So if GT can pull it off, and even if he manages to get this top 5, that's a win to me.
Oh yeah, I mean that is a huge win to right, and you're 100% right. There's a huge difference from being able to start on the grid with everybody else as opposed to starting on pit road and everybody else is, miles ahead of you. For him to get in the top 5, as it's funny that you mention it, because there he is. He is now your 5th place runner as he was able to make the pass on Richard Gonzalez. And yeah, to get in there, to get a top 5 now, if he could hold on, we'll have to see. But that is a 100% win for that Ford truck if he could hold on. with a top 5.
Yeah, and it's getting interesting up here still with Curtis Preston and Trevor Massetti. It's getting real interesting because Trevor has not fallen off the pace at all. I was a little concerned because Curtis driving wise is in a whole nother world of his own sometimes. And I get to witness it on the track on Tuesday nights from a first-hand experience. I mean, Curtis is a gifted sim racer, and it shows week in and week out. But man, Trevor Massetti, I'm just telling you right now, this year may not be his year, but this kid is the youngest driver in the field. And I'm just telling you, years ahead in this Evolution Racing Network, I think this guy is going to be sitting on the throne years ahead because, I mean, he's young and he's learning this sim racing fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of reminds me of like the young drivers you see now in Hendrick Motorsports in real life in the Cup Series, where these are guys that replaced older talent and they're coming in and they're really making a name for themselves. And that's exactly what we're seeing out of Trevor Massetti. He's been around long enough to where people know who he is. And he's coming into these leagues with the big heavy hitters that you're used to seeing, and he's running up there with the best of them.
And the biggest thing that I can say about him is he's not just a driver that shows up on race day. This kid puts in so much time for this league. He does our ghost car camera simulation videos, so you fans can see what lines these guys run. Whether it's Saturday night wall bangers, if it's Sunday nights, if it's even Monday nights. I mean, he runs this ghost car camera setup for all of us. That way, you fans get to see what line they run. I mean, he puts in so much time in the Evolution Racing Network. That's why he gets so much respect. He may be 18 years old, but the dude is like a 45-year-old adult that's got his stuff together in life.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He's beyond his years for sure in a sense of maturity, and I think that it translates out onto the track. I mean, how he is in real life is how he races. You don't see him, going out and wrecking people and pushing guys out of the way. I mean, he's just as respectful as a racer on the track as he is as a person. And I think that's why these guys have a ton of respect for him. They know he could drive that truck real well, and but at the end of the day, they know that they're gonna get raced clean by him.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're getting close to the next pit stop. I mean, Steve, what do you think's going to happen?
You know what? I think this is honestly a tough call. I think I don't know if I do it on this one, but I think if you're the 3 in Massetti, you got to short pit by a lap. You got to try to figure out what lap is that 29 going down. You got to go down a lap before him. I don't know if it's the right call, and even if they go down at the same time, it's I got to beat that 29 off pit road. I think that's how you're going to win the race.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I see Trevor pitting 91, 92. That's my guess. I know we're in the Sin City, so I'm gonna put a little gamble down. I don't know what lap you're picking, Steve, but I'm gonna say 91, 92.
All right,
Trevor
well,
Massetti will pit.
Just to make things interesting, a little friendly wager, I'm going to say lap 90. I mean, probably a little earlier than I'd want to guess, but I'm going to say lap 90. You see that 3 come down pit road. Now, if you see the 29 come down at 90, if you're the 3, you cannot let Preston short pit you. So if that 29 comes down, that 3 is going to be glued right to his bumper.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that happens, then you and I both know we don't need to go to Vegas and gamble.
Right. And, this is shaping up to be a good finish. We are 86 laps into this thing of 133. And we're going to see this. And you know what is really interesting is we're going to see green flag stops here probably within the next 5 to 6 laps. And these guys cannot make it, no matter what. I mean, so we're going to see a very late race, splash and go. Now, if we get a caution between this pit cycle and the next, obviously that kind of puts that strategy out the window. But I'm curious to see the very last pit stop that these guys got to make, because you're basically just going to go down, throw enough fuel in to get you the rest of the way. But when on earth do you do that?
See, and I don't know though, because the way that pit window is, it's very possible that they can make it on fuel. It's going to be very close. That's why I'm saying, lap 91, 92. That's where I think Trevor's going to pit, and I think he has just enough Sunoco fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm kind of doing the math in my head here now. It's going to be real close. It is going to be really, really close. The guys might be able to do it just on 2 stops. And boy, wouldn't that be something to see a fuel strategy come into play where, you might have to save a little bit of fuel at the end, which will help other guys depending on when they pit. But it's going to be real close as we look at the laps here. Lap 89. So we'll see when these guys come down. If they come together, will Trevor try to short pit to 29 of Curtis Preston? I think it's the strategy has a lot of merit to it if you could pull it off. And by that I mean everything has to be executed perfect. No speeding on pit road penalties. No sliding through your box, because if you slide through your box, then that short pit does you zero good.
Yeah, and it looks like Cole Maxwell must have pitted because he's on fresher tires for sure, and it shows. And that's one thing that, viewers out here, I mean, tires mean everything.
Yes, absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, I was not wrong. Lap 90 coming to 91 in year 3. Trevor Massetti is down on pit road.
I will never gamble again.
I'll tell you what, though. I think if Trevor Massetti knew he had to do it, and honestly, I think that's the right call. I think it's the right call, and I think for sure, you might see Curtis though as yet. No, he will come down. Kind of looked like almost a last minute decision, really, to come down there. I was wondering if he was going to try to stretch it out for another lap or two just to make sure that he could make it. But he is on pit road. He'll take his stop. 4 tires and 2 cans of Sunoco fuel, and hopefully it'll be enough. Doesn't slide through the box, gets in and out of the pit box the way he needed to. And you know what? There he is. We'll take a look at him right here. He hasn't made his pit stop yet, but the Ford GT Irizarry is now your race leader. As these guys are making their pit stops, and this is important because these guys do get bonus points for leading laps. So if you're the Ford GT, you're probably not going to go out and win the thing, but you're doing what you need to do to secure yourself a good finish and help yourself out in the point standings a little bit. And I think that's what they need to do. If you're the 4, if you're the 6 of Richard Gonzalez who started on the pole, get the bonus points where you can, and everything else will kind of fall into place. As it looks like pretty much everybody except for these 2, yes, are still waiting to have made their pit stops. The 4 GT Irizarry, the 6 of Richard Gonzalez are the only two guys out on the track who have not made this second stop right now, and they'll hang until they have to. They'll definitely have enough fuel, and I think they're just making sure of it.
And look who leapfrogged Curtis Preston.
He sure did.
And it's getting tight right now.
As we will now have a battle, and this is something, folks, that. You know what? And what Trevor did right there is the move you have to do. Because you're just starting this last run right here. You can't be side by side for laps. because you're not going to have any tires left. I think you gotta save them. You gotta set them up, and I think that's exactly what he's doing. Is just setting them up for the end of this race.
Yeah, and I think Curtis is in the closer mode. That's what they call Kevin Harvick, the closer. I think he's going to try to attempt to close this thing out and shut the door on the Cali kid. But I don't know. There's something about the Cali kid right now. He's sitting back here. He's not overworking the truck. I think he's got a real good shot at this.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Kevin. Yeah, we know that Curtis Preston can close out races. I mean, he's one of the best in the business at it in the sim racing community, as far as I'm concerned. But that three's been tough. I mean, he in the first run was able to really, really close the gap, as the 9 is a lap truck right there of Jeff Carson. Didn't really seem to slow Trevor down, though. That's the thing, because now GT's working, or Curtis and GT, they're kind of working up a little battle. GT Irizarry made his pit stop, and he's actually just trying to stay on the lead lap. So he's gonna fight that 29, I think, here for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I learned from GT is if he knows you, he is going to race you the hardest possible because he knows he can race you that hard. That is one thing I've definitely learned from GT. So if he races you that hard, it's a respect. It is not him just trying to be, rude or anything like that. It's just him showing respect. Like, hey, I know that I can go to full potential running this truck right beside you down the track because I know that we're not going to wreck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is shaping up. See, this is what's going to get interesting here, Kevin, is we've got a lot of lap traffic to deal with kind of right here. The one of Michael Sheffield, the 2 Craig Burns, they're kind of just ahead of this group. And this could be one of those deals where lap traffic might play a little part in things if they're able to catch them.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of looking like right now. The biggest thing that Curtis Preston can bank on is when he gets past the lap truck, that it takes longer for Massetti to get past the lap truck, and complete opposite for Massetti. Massetti's hoping that, Curtis gets held up by traffic and that he can catch him.
Right. And I think the one big benefit right now that Curtis had that Trevor really doesn't is he's pretty close to the 4 GT, so he's getting that draft off of him, and that's playing a big part in. We've seen he's got a little bit of a gap now, 0.7 of a second, and that draft that he's able to pull from that 4 truck is definitely helping him.
Yes. You're seeing a little bit of a gap for him. GT right now, just trying to stay on the lead lap. But Curtis is kind of benefiting from it because, like you said, that draft is playing a huge factor right now for the 29.
Yeah, as we're going to come into turn 4 here, and we're going to complete lap 102. So we are closing in. This, folks, should turn out to be a great finish. Do they have enough gas? I think they probably do. Especially, for the 29 is another beneficiary of this. He's got the draft from GT, a little bit of it at least. So he's not only able to pull a little bit of a gap on Trevor here, but he's also saving fuel in the same token. But do these guys have enough gas? Did Trevor pit in a lap earlier? Is that these are all things that these guys are thinking about. They got crew chiefs down there making the calls, running the scenarios. If we see a caution, you're probably going to see these guys come down and splash the tank, because why wouldn't you? Especially because they still do have another set of tires left in the bank too. I mean, that could really be beneficial. But I mean, we've run 105 laps here now without a single caution. I really don't. You can't bank on that strategy because, it hasn't happened.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing about this league that I will say. Hardly any cautions. That just goes to show how good of a talent level this field of drivers is. And that's why it's a fun one to always call, because the strategies are interesting, but they're earned, if you get what I'm saying. Caution sometimes, if you see so many cautions during a race, it just it hurts the momentum of both the race and the broadcast. Because, for us, I mean, sometimes it's hard to talk about certain things, and when you have caution-filled broadcast, it's hard to, continue things, if you get what I'm saying, Steve. But it's always exciting to be able to call it on green flag action.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime there's racing out on the track, there's always something to talk about. I mean, if you're out here, what we like to call in the sim community iPacing, which you typically will see at your bigger tracks, Talladega, Daytona, where you spend a lot of laps under caution because the guys run so close, and when you're pacing at 60 miles an hour on a 2.5 mile super speedway, you get dry pretty quick. So we love to see green flag. We love to see what we're seeing. We love to see this, green flag. I mean, this race has been incredible, guys. If you're just tuning in, we are 107 laps into a caution-free race here at Las Vegas. 10 guys on the track. We've seen 2 green flag stops. We don't think we're going to see another one if this thing stays green. It's going to be close on fuel, but I think they're going to have enough. As we see the 29 of Curtis Preston is your race leader. The 2 of Craig Burns, which is kind of in between him and Trevor Massetti, he is a lap down or running in 6th right now. But, for Trevor right now, and I think that little bit of damage Craig suffered earlier is probably going to, make him a slower truck. But for right now, the 2 is the best friend of Trevor Massetti, because he could probably link up with him and use that draft a little bit to help him out.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely can try to get some of that draft and play and make that play a factor. But man, it's going to be hard for Trevor to catch up. I just think Curtis must have made an adjustment on pit road, something, because it feels like he got a little bit freer, and it almost feels like Trevor got a little bit tighter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a race, and especially being ran during the day. I mean, a lot of times you'll see this Las Vegas race be run at night, and to run it during the day when the track temps are changing, it's run in the afternoon, so the track's getting hotter, especially because the guys are out here running around here, and it's one of those things where the truck is going to change as well. And Trevor's done a pretty good job. I'm not writing him off just yet, though, because we've seen him close what was close to a 3-second gap at the end of that first fuel run, and I ain't writing him off just yet. But we do know that Curtis Preston, we've dubbed him the closer, so we're going to kind of stick with that. He'll close this race out, and I think he's already in that mode.
Yeah. It's still, like you just said a while ago about Trevor, the race ain't over. I mean, there's plenty of racing left. I don't know. I just feel like the scenario's just a little bit different. He definitely gained a ton of time before that last pit stop. Something feels a little bit different on track. Like maybe there's so much rubber on the track now that Trevor got tight and didn't make an adjustment. Because Curtis definitely made an adjustment, because when he was coming off pit road and he was chasing Trevor, he was loose coming out of the turns, and I don't know how he was driving that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. Yeah, there is definitely something has changed. We don't, it's hard for us to tell, kind of just calling like we see it, but that 3 truck looks wicked tight right now. And that's, obviously a tight truck is a slower truck for sure. As you see, the 3 Trevor Massetti was able to get by the 2 Craig Burns, and he's gonna try. I mean, he's got 20 laps to do it, Kevin. As they cross the line this time, he's got 20 laps to close a 1.4-second gap. But in the same token, he's got a lap older tires than Curtis. We know that. And this is the part where you're either going to catch him or you're going to burn your stuff up trying. And if you do that, you might catch him, but you probably won't be able to get around him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the closing lap times. It's time to mash that throttle down, see what she does. I mean, if you burn up the tires, you burn them up. But he's got such a window between, third place and fourth place. If I'm Trevor, this is about the time that I flip that switch and see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, you really have nothing to lose. You're either going to win the race or you're going to finish second, And I think, if you're the three of Trevor, you're trying to break the win column. You really are, because he's been consistent enough to keep him up there in the point standings, which is great. I think you just have to go for it. There's literally nothing to lose. You get the win or you finish second, and regardless of where you finish, you get to carry that momentum in the next week, and that's going to be huge for these guys. Is the momentum they carry each week? Really tells a story. I think we've seen last week Curtis Preston driving up through the field from last to second, and he's carrying the momentum over to this race. And as you see, I mean, he's been straight dominant tonight. Nailed every pit stop the way he needed to. And this is just, one of these things where he just has the better truck.
Yeah, definitely for sure, without a doubt. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Curtis Preston is headed to the Jim Beam Distillery. He is ready to go home. That's why he's driving so fast.
He sure is. I mean, these guys got a nice 20 race, or I believe it's a 16 race schedule this year. So every race really counts. It's one of those things where you can't go out and win every week, but you got to take your wins when you can get them. And this is a track that we spoke at the top of the broadcast. And we knew that Curtis was going to be tough. We knew the three of Massetti was going to be tough. And I mean, they're out there showing it right now. And this is the race we wanted. This is the race we got. It's a battle of attrition right now. Who's got the better tires? Obviously, we know the 29 of Curtis Preston's got a lap newer tires. And does that make a difference? I mean, yeah, a little bit. But I think right now, his truck feels better than Trevor's does.
Yeah. Trevor has closed it in just slightly. Not as big of a gain as he did the before the last pit stop. But he's slowly gaining just a little bit, but definitely can see that Curtis has the better truck right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll run down through your field real quick here. The battle that's going to be the battle over the next 14 laps is going to be the 29 and the 3. They're running 1, 2, 3rd. You're going to find Chad Biesinger 4th. GT Irizarry. I mean, we talked about what it would be for him to get a top 5. He's running up there in 4th right now, and that's, like we said, that's about as good as a win. Back on down to 5th, Michael Sheffield had a little trouble on pit road. That definitely hurt him, or we might be talking him within a top 3 finish. But still hanging on to the top 5. He's your last truck scored on the lead lap. And scored 1 lap down. Craig Burns, we've seen him brush the wall earlier. That's definitely affected his race. Pole sitter Richard Gonzalez running 7th right now. Jeff Carson in the 9 truck running in 8th. 9th will be Travis Everett. He's 2 laps down. And 10th will be Cole Maxwell. He is 4 laps down. So that is your up to date as where everybody's running right now. And I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I don't know if it's cheating because there's 12 laps to go. But I'm picking the 29 of Curtis Preston to win this race.
I'm not picking anybody because every time I pick somebody, it's always bad luck on them. I'm just sitting back and enjoying the show.
I'll tell you what, guys, if this is your first time tuning into one of our broadcasts, please head on over to Facebook. Give us a like, head on over to YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get notified anytime we go live, whether it be right here, Adrenaline Rush Racing League on Monday nights for a custom fixed setup truck series league. Tuesday nights, we had another truck series league and another fixed setup league. Three Wide Racing Network on Tuesday nights and Saturday nights starting up June 5th. Right around the corner, Season 2 Wallbangers Racing Truck Series every Saturday night. Open setup truck league, which basically for you guys that are new to the community, the guys go in and build setups. They build their own setups like they do in real life. It's a lot of fun. That league will that season 2 will kick off June 5th at 10:05 Eastern. That's when the green flag drops on that. And Kevin, I can't wait till that season kicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always fun.
But for right now, we're under 10 to go. We got 9 to go. Curtis Preston looking at about a second and a half lead over Trevor Massetti. And you know what? For both guys, they're both going to be happy for sure. I'm sure once we talk to them post race, they're going to be thrilled the way this turned out. I think Trevor might be a little bit more disappointed, obviously, because I think he thinks he had the winning truck, but man, it's just that 29 could just drive that thing, and that's the only thing you could really say. I mean, he had Trevor all over him, and I mean, now look at it, he's on cruise control.
Yeah. And like I said, when Curtis came off pit road and he knew Trevor was going to be ahead of him, the viewers didn't get to see it, but I was sitting there watching him, and he was sliding coming out of 2 and 4. I mean, he was pushing the gas pedal all the way to the floor to try to catch up with Trevor as fast as possible.
And this is what we we say it multiple times, but this is what we come to expect here. Tight battles. The same pretty much 4 to 5 guys you're going to find up there in the front. And we haven't talked about him in a while, but back he's 24 seconds back, but the Mark Martin of the league, Chad Basinger, still holding on. Looks like he's got about a 5-second gap between him and GT Irizarry. He should be able to hold on, bring home a podium finish there in third, and Chad just doing what he has to do to stay consistent and to stay up there.
Yeah, and the one person that I'm just absolutely amazed about though right now that's finishing, possibly going to finish inside the top 5 is GT Irizarry. I just cannot believe that. Starts literally on pit road, goes, I think the pit road speed limit here is 45 miles an hour, while everyone else takes off, and somehow manages to walk through the field and is going to end up probably finishing 4th place. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It really is, Kevin, because like you mentioned, those guys are taking the green flag and you're just putting along at 45 mile an hour coming off a pit road. Then you get to take your green flag, and to come through the field and get a top 5 is, first off, it shows you what type of driver you really are and how disciplined you need to be to run around this track. And that, for him, it's a win. It's a win all day long. And, good for him. He earned it. I always say if you start last and you make your way up through the field, you earn that paycheck because it's a lot of work.
Well, and you know how tough this league is. It don't really necessarily rely on wins. It just relies on consistent finishes, and this is a great points day for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we just want to take the moment to remind everybody that the Adrenaline Rush Racing League is brought to us by the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker Gamer 2 it's awesome. If you don't have one, head on over to buttkicker.com and get one of these things. They're really cool. They kind of put a lot of vibration in a lot of games. No additional software is needed. It's a plug-and-play system. Head on over to buttkicker.com to get yours today. And also Sheffield Graphics, a iRacing Paints and Liveries company, run by our own Michael Sheffield, right here, that runs in the owns the league. And every paint that he makes, the proceed goes towards the nonprofit Folds of Honor organization, which hands out military scholarships for fallen soldiers. So awesome company to work for. We're glad they're on board this season, as Curtis Preston is going to come out of turn number 4, and he will take the Sheffield Graphics white flag. 1 lap to go. Curtis Preston, 2.5 gap. He's on cruise control. This is a qualifying lap, folks. And you know what, Kevin? Hats off to him. He closed this thing out just like we all thought he would.
Yeah, Curtis Preston all day long. Just true dominance in the Black Beauty Jim Beam Chevy Silverado. He's going to take this sucker and soar it into turn 3. And I mean, I wouldn't. He ain't even looking in the mirror. He's already starting to take his gloves off, and he's about to take that helmet off. It's Curtis Preston, number 29, is going to win here at Las Vegas.
Absolutely. The 29 puts his hand out on the table, cashes in. He will win. Trevor Massetti will finish in second. Chad Biesinger will finish in third. That will be your top 3. And I'll tell you what, this 133 green flag laps at Las Vegas during the day. The track is hot. Boy, I'll tell you what, there's nothing else like it.
No, that was fantastic race. It was executed perfectly by the top 2 drivers for the most part, but overall, everybody did fantastic in the race.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to obviously GT Irizarry coming home with a top 5. Michael Sheffield with a top 5. Richard Gonzalez, even though, he started on the pole, had that little incident, he's going to come home with a 6th place finish. So even those guys, these are things these guys should be proud of. They could take this, in the next week. And as we see Curtis, well, he'll burn it down here, and rightfully so. He earned it. He had the truck. He had the truck to beat, and he went out there and, just showed what he does best.
The good thing about the sim racing is that you can blow up the truck and not have to worry about saving it for the next race.
Absolutely, and I mean that's what you want to do. That's you can't take the motor with you. You're going to get a brand new one next week. And here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back, and we'll talk to these top 3 drivers right after this.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All right, guys, welcome back. And we are here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where we, just saw 133 laps. We just saw 133 laps of awesome racing. And we are going to grab here, let's see. Oh, okay. I just got word out of the control tower here for the league that Michael Sheffield, league owner, has made a decision here. Now this is where it's going to get interesting, Kevin. There was we saw Travis Everett with the connection issue, and he has now been scored your 3rd place finisher. There was a little bit of connection thing between him and iRacing, and he will be your 3rd place finisher. So we're gonna grab him, and we're gonna have a word with him and see if we can't get this all sorted out. Hey, Travis Everett, this is Stephen Cavan up in the year-end booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. We got you.
All right, Travis. Well, we just got word that you were the third place finisher tonight. We did see a little bit of a connection deal. Go ahead and walk us through that race. That was 133 laps, caution free at Las Vegas is no easy picnic. What'd you do to get up there and stay up there and fight for a top three finish there at the end?
I don't know if we had anything for Curtis and Trevor there without connection issues. They went to holler and saying that I was blinking out at the beginning there, so I went ahead and dropped to the back, and it would steady itself out every now and then. They would pick off a few, and about halfway through the race there, it finally settled in for good. We had a good connection, but just all about hitting your marks later on in the run.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, we haven't really talked about it yet during this
Push off the
race.
turn, so I had to watch out.
Next week, Travis, we head to the Daytona Road Course. First time we're going to see a road course run here in this series. Are you a road racer? Do you look forward to it, or is it something you just kind of want to get out of the way?
I'm not a road racer, and thankfully, I don't have to look forward to it. I'll actually be working next Monday night, so I won't get to make that one, but definitely not going to hurt my feelings on that.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. Your third place finisher, Travis Everett. Travis, before we let you go, you want to give any shout outs?
Yeah, just everybody here in the series, I appreciate them being understanding of my connection issue tonight and letting my third place stand. Thank you to all of them and Sheffield, everything he does for all of us over here and all my teammates over there at SJR. Appreciate all the work they put in. And thank y'all. Have a good night.
All right, Travis, we appreciate it, and we'll hopefully catch up with you in 2 weeks. All right, that's your third place finisher. And before we grab second here, now this is, we talk Kevin, about how this league is built on respect, and we seen it right there. Travis with a little bit of connection issue, dropping to the back. All the guys kind of collectively get together and say, you know what, Travis, you know what, man, that's your place, your third place finish. You get up there and you take it, and that's something I've never seen in another league, and that says something about these group of guys here.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, everybody that participates in this Evolution Racing Network, I think we have a commitment to one another that we are going to race each other respectfully and 100% to the best capabilities that we can, and it just shows, and it's every league that's part of this Evolution Racing Network. So, just a class of drivers all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk to the man who, well, I'll tell you what, he had a good truck, but wasn't able to get it done. Kevin Ruff, you're with Trevor Massetti.
Trevor, Stephen Cavan up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Trevor, good run tonight, buddy. I really thought you may have had something for Curtis, towards the end of the race, when you were coming up to that second pit stop, man, you gained a bunch of time on him, and then you had a perfect pit stop. Take us through that.
Yeah, I kind of just decided I was going to ride behind him because I was catching him a little bit, but it wasn't going to be enough to pass him. So I figured I'd just kind of ride it out and try and stick behind him. And I made it through that first pit stop pretty good. And then I think the last one, I slid through the box a little bit, and it was just enough to where I wasn't going to come out in front of him like I should when I undercut him. And I think that's what caused the difference for the end.
Now, we're going into Daytona Road Course next week, and I'm not going to lie, and I know Steve's probably going to giggle here in a second, but I put $20 on you. How do you feel going into Daytona? Because let's be honest, I know you're not going to admit it, but you are a very good road racer. So how do you feel going into Daytona?
I've never done much road racing, honestly, but no, I feel pretty good about it. I love that track, and this combination of truck and that track, I don't know, something just kind of clicks in my mind with it. So hopefully iRacing hasn't changed too much with all these updates, and hopefully it still feels the same as it did a couple weeks ago.
Well, Trevor, good run tonight, buddy. I hated that you weren't able to get up there and try to do something with Curtis, at the very end. I look forward to you next week, especially since I got $20 on you. But before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I got to say hi to mom and dad, Grammy and Nono, Nana and Grandpa, Auntie Karen. I want to say thank you to you guys for broadcasting, all the admins that make this league work, and all the people that are in it. These are some super talented drivers, and I'm pretty honored to be a part of them. And the Slide Jobs team for letting me race with them and learn from them. And yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, Trevor, don't forget, I got $20 on you next week. Let's see what you can do. And I look forward to calling the race next week and seeing you in Victory Lane.
I wouldn't jinx it, but I look forward to it too.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, your second place finisher. Boy, I tell you what, I thought he had a truck tonight. I ain't gonna lie, and just comes up a little short. But you heard it here first. Excellent road racer. For those of you who don't know Trevor, he's dominant at road courses, but we haven't seen what he could do in this league. This league has never run a road race before, Kevin. So, we have more questions than answers. We know that Trevor's good, but who else is good? Is he going to win by, a minute, or is it going to come down to the last lap? This is something that we're just going to have to see next week. Going into Daytona Road.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. You're going to really see who can not only do the oval racing, but who can do the road racing.
Right, absolutely. Well, folks, I know you guys are waiting. I can't wait to talk to him. Let's bring him in here. Hey, Curtis Preston, this is Stephen Cavan up in the year-end booth. You got a copy? Curtis Preston, Steve, and Cavan up in the year-end booth. You got a copy? Okay. It appears we're having a little bit of an issue with Curtis. I'm going to try to see if we can't get him back in here. Hey, Curtis. All right. He is disconnected on us. We'll try to see if we can't get him back on real quick. Hey, Curtis, Steve, and Kevin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Every time he wins, we have an issue with the interviews.
It's just one of those things, folks, where that 29, he's just going so fast. I mean, he's just, just doesn't have a good connection. I mean, when you're driving the car that fast, and he's, we know he's already on his way to the distillery. So
yeah, I was gonna say he's already taken shots, and when you get in the distillery, you lose reception. So he's taking shots and enjoying this victory.
Absolutely. Well, folks, let's take a peek here now, Gavin, at this schedule coming up, because it's a good one. Honestly, it really is. We've already talked. We go to the Daytona Road Course next week, where we know that Trevor Massey is going to be tough. We know that probably Curtis Preston's going to be good. We don't know, what it's going to bring. Then we take a little bit of a week off for Memorial Day, kind of enjoy the family, enjoy some barbecue, good eat. And then we go to the Milwaukee Mile, which, a nice 1 mile track, kind of get back to this short track racing, I guess you could call it. And then we go to my personal favorite. Anybody that knows me knows that this is my jam, and that's the Tricky Triangle at Pocono Raceway. And that will be in 3 weeks on the 14th of June. Coming up, besides the road course, what's a track that you got circled that you're excited to call?
You know me, and out of all the tracks on that schedule right now, upcoming, it's definitely Pocono. Pocono has a place for me that I absolutely love. I got my first career iRacing win there in the leagues, and I absolutely love that track. That is an absolute hoot to race on. It's just so different. So I enjoy it. Even if I don't have a good finish, it's still a fun track to drive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that Pocono is going to be a good race. Now, we're digging into this thing. We're slowly clawing our way through the schedule. Um, we're getting there little by little, and it's going to be fun. It's really going to be fun. Let's go ahead and let's run through our results here for the end of the race and just see where your favorite driver ended up walking away with the race win. Switch to the right graphic would be great. Race winner, Curtis Preston in the 29. He gets the job done tonight. Trevor Massetti falls just a little short. He'll finish second. Third, we did mark Travis Everett. Fourth will be Chad Biesinger. Fifth will be GT Irizarry. Sixth will be the one of Michael Sheffield. Seventh will be Richard Gonzalez. Eighth will be Jeff Carson. Ninth will be the two of Craig Burns, who had a good truck. Just made a little contact with the wall there. 10th, you're going to find Cole Maxwell, and 11th, we will score Matt Upbrook. Did not take the green flag here tonight. Kevin, we know that next week's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I could probably, anybody that wants to make a little friendly wager, I bet we will have 0 cautions next week. Don't take that bet because road courses don't have caution flags thrown. It's going to be fun. I mean, this race was fun to watch. I think next race is going to be fun to watch. We're going to see, guys turning right and left. We're going to see guys running off the track. We might see guys that we're used to seeing up in the front be in the back.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting next week. I'm very excited to see who is going to be the shocker and be running up front. We definitely know there's a couple drivers that are definitely going to be up front, but I think there's just a couple drivers in this field. Like, let's see what Richard Gonzalez can do. Let's see what Jeff Carson can do. Let's see what Chad Biesinger can do. Let's see what these guys that are real quiet. Let's see what they can do next week. I hope they come out and put on a show. And, I get to sit here and call it with you, Steve, so it's always going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, we have a blast calling these races. We have a blast, chatting with you guys out in Facebook and YouTube land. And if you like, and I mentioned this before, if this is something you like, if you want to get involved, head on over to iRacing.com. Make you an account. I mean, this service is awesome. We all enjoy it. And if you're a spectator at home, just head on over to Evolution Racing Network on Facebook and YouTube. Give us a like, hit subscribe, and we will. You'll be able to catch any time that we're live. And this is fun. This was a lot of fun, Kevin. I can't wait till next week. And for everybody who tuned in, we appreciate all you guys. And we're gonna have a lot of fun next week. And you know what? I just got word that we might have a microphoned up Curtis Preston. Let's see if we can get him real quick. Hey, Curtis, Steve, and Kevin up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
You got a copy on me. I got a copy on you.
Holy crap! We thought that your microphone was left at the track. You're already at the distillery. We're glad to have you up here in the booth. You were, I mean, we'll call it like it was. You were straight dominant in that race. Trevor was pretty much the only guy that could really hang with you there. Walk us through that race. What'd you do that he didn't? What were you better at? And how'd you get that win tonight?
I think the win came down to just no mistakes. I mean, I know Trevor said he slid through his box a little bit on the last stop. I think GT had the fastest truck there towards the end. He pulled us by like 3 seconds, and then the gap stayed the same. We couldn't get back to him. So had he made the start, I think you might be talking to him and not me. But like I said, the biggest thing is just didn't make any mistakes. We gave up some time going on pit road to Trevor on the first stop, and then we almost messed up and sped coming in on the second stop. But yeah, that's what it boiled down to. I think it's mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what we saw, it was, and we watched you coming down pit road each time to see, would you slide through the box, would you get a speeding penalty, and it was overall flawless on your end, and I mean, it's a well-deserved victory. Now we kind of change gears here. Next week we go down to Daytona, and we run the road course. How are you at road race? This is something we haven't seen in this series at all. A road course out on the schedule. So what do you do to get ready for a road course?
Practice, and just for me personally, it's going to be racing the track. I'm just going to be trying to keep the truck on the track and not do anything stupid. There's quite a few guys in here that are quite a bit better at road racing than me. I'm mediocre. I can hold my own, but I don't expect to go down there and contend for a win. That's for sure.
All right, Curtis. Well, hey, man, congratulations on the win. You've earned it. You were, like I said, dominant pretty much for the whole race. Before we let you go and pull on into the Jim Beam Distillery, you want to give any shout-outs?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Sheffield for putting this on, man. This is a lot of fun. Shout out to all the guys at SJR and you guys in the booth, man. Appreciate what you do, and everybody at Evolution Racing Leagues, man. This is it's a lot of fun, man. I enjoy it. We'll take the W and look forward to next week.
Absolutely, Curtis. And we'll see, if we can't talk to you next week, maybe in Victory Lane, maybe in a podium spot, maybe on the pole. And we're going to get a totally different race than what everybody's used to here, and we can't wait to call it.
All right, guys. We're looking forward to it. See you next week.
Yes, sir. All right, we were we were able to grab our race winner here at the last moment. And Kevin, I'll tell you what, man, Curtis earned that win 110%. He did what he had to do, was able to hold off the 3. And, I'm looking forward to the road course next week.
Oh, absolutely. I am myself. It's going to be a fun one.
Sure is. Well, folks, we're going to close this thing out. We appreciate you tuning in. For Kevin Ruff, I'm Steve Kerpel. We'll catch you next week at Daytona Road Course.